بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. We continue reading from the 40 principles of the religion, the 40 fundamentals of the religion, Al-Arba في أصول الدين by Imam Al-Ghazali رحمه الله ونفعنا بكم في الدارين. Amin. And today we're dealing with the 8th principle, meaning of the 4th quarter of this important book, as the general number would be the 38th, and its own love is a very important topic, subhanallah. Al-Mahabba. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, يحبهم ويحبونه. He loves them and they love him. And it has been pointed by Muslim scholars that the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala precedes the love of the slaves, the servants, the lovers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's a very beautiful thing. But one should also remember that verily if you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you need to follow the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. فاتبعوني يحببكم الله. Follow me and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will love you. So all of the verses about love should be addressed at once. And another verse in the Quran, قل إن كان آباؤكم وأبناؤكم وإخوانكم وأزواجكم وعشيرتكم وأموال اقترفتموها وتجارة تخشون كسادها ومساكن ترضونها أحب إليكم من الله ورسوله. Say, if your fathers, your sons, your brothers, your spouses, your family, wealth that you have acquired, commerce for which you fear loss, or homes which you are pleased with, are more beloved to you than Allah and His Messenger. Of course, the answer is not mentioned directly here in what Imam Al-Ghazali quotes, but the important thing is that the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the love of His Prophet, should be greater than the love of our ancestors, our offspring, our siblings, and of course whatever wealth that we have. Wealth, whether it's cash, houses, whatever you ranches and cars and aeroplanes and what have you. It's applicable to whatever develops in the future in terms of material wealth. In fact, there is a hadith about the Prophet ﷺ speaking with Sayyidina Umar ibn Khattab, in which Sayyidina Umar ibn Khattab said that he loves the Prophet ﷺ, he loves Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he loves the Prophet ﷺ more than everything except himself. And the Prophet ﷺ in a beautiful way pointed, and more than yourself, he reminded him. And then Umar ibn Khattab realized that his love for the Prophet ﷺ is really is greater than, more important than also himself. And this is why Abu Bakr as-Siddiq brought all his money, gave all his money to the da'wah to Islam, to And when the Prophet ﷺ asked him, what did you leave to your family? He said, Allah wa Rasulah. I left them God and His Messenger. The Prophet ﷺ said in a hadith that's it is narrated by Al-Bukhari and Muslim and others too. None of you believes until Allah and His Messenger are more beloved to Him than anything besides Him. None of you believes until Allah and His Messenger are more beloved to Him than anything besides them. So it's really one's faith is conditioned on the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the love of His Messenger, more than anything else. He, the Prophet ﷺ, said, love of Allah for all that He provides for you, and love me for the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This hadith has been described as Hasan Gharib. The Al-Hakim rendered it Sahih, sound, and Dhahabi agreed with Al-Hakim, and the Suyuti rendered it Sahih. But there are those who textually render the hadith weak because they said our love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should be for its own sake, not though one should basically love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also for whatever He bestows on us in terms of health, wealth, social relations, لإحسانه, for whatever He has bestowed on us. But they wanted really, they rendered the hadith as weak. So, but if we have all those luminary names, and it's not because they are luminary, so we have Al-Hakim, Al-Dhahabi, Al-Suyuti, and of course others as well. And it has been said, whoever has tasted pure love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a hadith that has been attributed, like the narrator is Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, it prevents him, so the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it prevents him from seeking material things and isolates him from all humankind. The meaning is that, of course, the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would suffice you. You'll find comfort in your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the deeper, the stronger this love is, that the less you seek comfort in material things, or in even in human relations. Of course, the probably teenagers would be the weakest from this perspective. They need people around them, maybe many people. This is why they in a very naive way, teenagers or even older, a little bit older, they count friends, people who because on Facebook, this is exactly how they are described. They're described as friends. Those who subscribe, they or whatever. So you'll have, and I did hear it from a teenager. At the time, he had kind of 1,500 friends. What is the meaning of friend? Those. Then Al-Hasan al-Basri also said, Whoever knows Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves him, and whoever knows the reality of material things abstains from them. The believer is not preoccupied with amusement, and thereby heedless. The believer is not preoccupied with amusement, and thereby heedless. Then he reflects, he is saddened. When he reflects, he is saddened. Say that you spend your life simply, of course, serving others. That's an obligation that should be fulfilled at least by the few, but never delegate this to others. Also doesn't mean that you abandon every aspect of life. The community at large needs service. Think about it today. The community needs food, needs health services, needs energy, communication. All of these are very vital. And food means agriculture, food means industry also. One can go about every detail. And this is why when we think about our brothers and sisters who are deprived of food, drink, energy, communication, and rather are bombarded, ethnically cleansed. It's either a genocide or genocidal. Maybe we are already there. It's a sad state of humanity, but it's the ongoing demonization and dehumanization. Those who deny loving Allah know that the majority of theologians have denied that loving Allah is real and have interpreted it figuratively. Know that the majority of theologians have denied that loving Allah is real and have interpreted it figuratively. They say that it means nothing except to comply with His commands. Otherwise, how can we love what nothing is like nothing and does not compare to our nature in any respect? It is only conceivable for us to love something of our kind. These theologians are deprived due to their ignorance of the reality of these affairs. We have removed the cover from this in the Book of Love from Revival of the Religious Sciences, the Islamic sciences. So read it in order to gather therefrom secrets which other books are bereft of, or suffice with the allusions and implications found in this abridged work. The meaning of something being beloved. Know that every pleasurable thing is beloved. The meaning of its being beloved is the self-predilection for it. If that predilection is strong, it is called passion. The meaning of a thing being hated is the self-repulsion of it, because it is unpleasant. If that hatred is strong, it is called abhorrence. Know that those things which you perceive with your senses and all of your feelings are either agreeable and in accordance with your desire, which is pleasant, contrary and discordant, which is unpleasant, or neither agreeable nor contrary, for which there is neither displeasure nor pleasure. Every pleasant thing is beloved, and the self that finds pleasure in any given thing inclines to it without choice. Know that pleasure is a consequence of perception, and that perception is of two types, external and internal. As for external perception, it is through the five senses. The pleasure of the eye is beholding beautiful forms. The pleasure of the ear is in hearing a melodious voice sound. The pleasure of taste and smell is in tasting or smelling an agreeable flavor or aroma. And the pleasure of the body as a whole is in a soft touch. The self loves all of these things. That is, it inclines toward them. As for internal perception, it is subtly or a subtlety found in the heart. Sometimes it is called intellect, sometimes it is called light, and other times it is called the sixth sense. Regardless, do not pay too much attention to mere expressions. The Prophet ﷺ once said, "Three things from your world have been made beloved to me: scent, perfumes, woman, and the coolness of my eye, which is prayer. وجعلت قرة عيني في الصلاة." So that's really it doesn't mean that he did not love. I mean, these are the most beloved. Uh, and subhanallah, one could basically one could think about in order for you. It has been of course it is the sunnah that if dinner and the night prayer happen to be like dinner time, some people prepare dinner, uh, and it's time for the night prayer. It has been said that do eat first for that particular meal because you have plenty of time thereafter. If you think about the evening prayer, that's very short, whatever. So the idea is night prayer, you have plenty of time between the night prayer. So, for example, during winter, during summer, it depends which country around the world. Uh, the night prayer could be around 9:30, 10, and to the north, in Scandinavian countries, I did pray late, almost midnight. They prayed Maghrib and Isha together. Um, and in fact, they just pray. It doesn't mean it was night per se during the summer when I went the first time. So the light, it's not the light of the day, but there was light in the sky that did not disappear. Um, which in reality, I did basically watch the sky um, through and throughout that night. It was intriguing to see how light during the night was there. So you would pray. Uh, so back to the idea why I mentioned dinner and the night prayer, because if you go to pray after they have prepared dinner, you might. I'm not going to say that you ought to, but you might think about the food. So there is food. Probably there's the aroma of food, the smell of food. It would distract you. But mentioning distraction, it could be many things. Uh, at any rate, uh, there are certain things once you do, it will help you in terms of your spirituality. But these are the three things that the Prophet ﷺ loved, or one might say loved most. You know that smell, touch, and eyesight all have their share in the pleasures of scent and woman, but the five senses have no share in the prayer. Rather, it is for that sixth sense which is found in the heart. The one without a heart does not perceive it, and truly Allah comes between a person and his heart. Whoever finds pleasure through the five senses alone is a dumb beast. For dumb beasts also find pleasure through them. It is his discriminating internal vision that makes the human being special. Thus, the pleasure of external vision is in beholding forms of external beauty, and the pleasure of internal vision is in beholding forms of internal beauty. Whoever finds pleasure, okay, again, we are done with that. Perhaps you would say, what is the meaning of beautiful internal forms? So I say, of what concern is it to me that you do not sense within yourself a love for the prophets, scholars, and companions, or do not perceive within yourself a difference between a just, knowledgeable, brave, and generous king who cares for the people versus an ignorant, stingy, callous, and harsh tyrant? Of what concern is it to me that if you are about the truthfulness of Abu Bakr, radiallahu anh, the political savvy of Umar al-Khattab, radiallahu anh, the liberality of Uthman, and the courage of Ali, alayhi salam, you do not find within yourself an attraction to comfort with and predilection for them and for anyone described with traits of perfection, whether a prophet, truthful person, or scholar. How can you deny this when there are people who will sacrifice themselves for the scholars of their schools and are driven by their love of them to exert in spending their wealth and exert their own selves in defending them to an extent beyond passion? You know that your love of them is not for their external forms, for you have never seen them. If you were to have seen them, then perhaps you would not have considered them handsome. If you were to have considered them handsome, yet somehow their external forms became disfigured, leaving only their internal abstract characteristics, you would still love them. If you were to examine what is about them that you love, you would find, after extensive detail not suited for this book, that your love of them boils down to three qualities: knowledge, ability, and transcendence over false. Transcendence over false. As for knowledge, it is such as their knowledge of Allah, His angels, His books, His messengers, the wonders of the spiritual realm, and the intricacies of the laws revealed to each of His prophets. Believing, of course, in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a must. This is the cornerstone of uh, of belief, of faith, believing in the angels, believing in the books, in Allah's books, believing in them by name. We have the Torah, we have the Zabur, and we have the Injil, the Gospel and Singer, and we do have the belief that these books suffered from the vagaries of transmission. It's think today, and I think this is I think it's important to think about this concept that has been repeated in several places in the Old Testament. In Hebrew, it is called harem, and it's the position that you may kill everything, the enemy, and everything about the enemy. The animals, the people, the children, burning down, annihilation, destruction. This is how it is mentioned in several places. And added to this, the story of Joshua in Jericho. Again, he obliterated Jericho. Okay. So this is why we say, is it too much to think that it is blasphemous to attribute anything like this to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Harem, killing the animals, killing the children, killing the women, killing the elderly, killing the men, everyone and his mother, as they say. Yes. And in fact, I had a colleague of mine, a Jewish professor of political science at Bard College, upstate New York. When I was a visiting professor between 2008 and 2010, he told me that when he reads the Old Testament with his son, he skips the story of Joshua bin Nun, because as a political scientist, of course, he understood that it's extremely problematic to raise children with such a story that advocate annihilation of the enemy, or the perceived enemy, or the constructed or reconstructed enemy. He realized that he shouldn't read it, and he didn't. So I think that in the light of what we have witnessed in terms of genocide, and I think the professors, the teachers, the clergy, who might not basically attribute this to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but the very fact that it continues to be there, I did basically hear it from politicians and religious people, and even secular people, which was very strange, subscribing to the same notion. It's a lengthy chapter, inshallah. We will have it at least one more, if not two, sessions. And it's good that it is about love, inshallah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.